boyfriend is a really like emotional support, really good fucking. If you hope so,
you want that.
Yeah, because the husband's very average fucking. That's all it is, right?
It goes down once you get married. You just fucking.
That sounds like a great Tinder profile.
Yeah.
Welcome back to another Careful Boys, where we are very careful
Very
boys.
careful.
So careful.
We are extending, this is part 2 of a conversation we had, but this is probably 7 months later. So, Joe,
Ryan.
this is about what tools are keeping us from being men, would you say? Is that?
I would say, what's everyone's definition of like that man? Because it was inspired by Ryan's idea of like, oh, I don't feel like I'm yet man enough or like husband material enough. And I was like trying to figure out what he meant by that. And I realized that all guys have a different definition of what that is. And also, I'm glad that Kalyne's here because females would have a different definition of what they think that epitome of a man or a husband material is. Because a lot of the times, you know, guys would think the man is someone who has a nice ass car, a ton of money, and then like he has a lot of girls, right? But then a lot of girls would look at that and be like, oh, that guy's just peacocking. He's covering up. He's actually a little bitch. So I'm like, oh.
And a lot of simps would say that too.
Huh?
And a lot of simps would say that.
A lot of simps. A lot of simps would say, that's the man.
Yeah, that's true.
Are we more specifically on like almost the evolution from like a boyfriend to a husband?
I think that's
Like,
that's more what it is.
Okay.
More that,
yeah,
right?
yeah, let's do that.
Because like boy to man is like that's like whoa.
No, it's
Something
definitely more boyfriend because at some point you have to think about that. Like it's not a transition that just takes care of itself. I don't think. I think you have to take accountability at one point and go like, hey, if I'm really in it for this person, then the skills kind of have to take a different direction, you know?
Totally.
Because a husband, in my opinion, is someone who is life building, family building, future, like lifelong partner that you're committed to. Boyfriend is a really like emotional support, really good fucking. If you hope so,
You want that.
Yeah, because the husband's very average fucking. That's all it is, right?
It goes down once you get married. You just fucking.
That sounds like a great Tinder profile.
Yeah.
You would hope the boyfriend, it starts with good fucking and it dwindles over the years.
It gets whack. It gets whack.
Or like the play stage, I would say is the boyfriend stage. You have a lot of fun. It's the initial. You're building all of those things together. But I don't know.
I think there's a lot of understanding too because great boyfriends don't necessarily make good marriages, and I think like it's what you're paying attention to. It's like almost like the point right in between is your last like portion to really see if you can truly understand this person. And if you have the capacity to really like see what they're saying when they're saying it, that way you don't run into the old basic problems like, why did you say it like that? Why did you mean it this way? Because then you're fighting about year one shit, and that shouldn't happen in a marriage. I don't think. I think you should. There's enough real problems in a marriage that you could probably put away the fucking schoolyard shit, you know?
Yeah.
But that's probably why there's a lot of divorces too. Because
Yeah.
there are people that still fight like that in their 40s.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, there's also like, there's a lack of emotional intelligence. But one of the things that, I don't know if you're one of those guys, Ryan. You seem like a very put together person as far as like getting shit done. Like I think.
It's a nice compliment.
Yeah, but really, like I think maybe when it comes to like you want to be a good husband, like I almost think you're going to be a great husband because you're like over preparing now.
Yeah.
Like I remember when I was making that transition, like I literally got married and I was like, okay, I'm going to look up, because I love my chick so much, I'm going to look up the number one things that guys do that like ruins relationships.
On BuzzFeed.
On BuzzFeed. On break.com. And it was really simple, like 3 lists, so I could read it quickly, right? So no, it was, dude, household chores, like not participating in household chores was like the fucking number one thing. It's like money and household chores.
Are you serious?
Yeah, dude, not participating, like being a fucking lazy asshole.
Right.
And so I just started attacking that game like never before. And Nikki like immediately knows. She's like, man, we got married and like Steve just started like fucking doing dishes all goddamn time and stuff. I don't have to ask him. And like I just started to make that part of like my awareness. And like, cause I think when as guys we we want to do things, but we're not always like thinking of it like priorities wise.
Yeah.
We're like, oh yeah, well that's bottom of my list because that can get done. It's just my own house unless people are coming over, right?
Yeah.
Then we heighten it on the priorities list, but you don't think about what your person goes through when they see their house and like go, oh well,
Disarray.
he disrespects my house and shit. You know, you don't know.
Right.
So that's when I started to nip that in the bud. But in progress, right? Like I think I got better like as I took that next step, and maybe you're just preparing like fucking crazy. Like when you play like a strategy game, you build a fucking massive army before you take over the map. And I just do slowly little bits at a time.
I also think the idea of like even taking on those household chores is so impactful at that time because after the official union is when that house becomes both of yours. You know what I mean?
Right.
Before you might be roommates or like housemates. You know what I'm saying? And if it's not official, then you know, like you've probably already experienced, whether it be through college or anything else, you know, like living with other people. So just adjusting your system preferences of like how you live is a thing that can happen with non-romantic partners, right? Whereas the second you become like official, it's like everything is shared. Everything belongs to you, like both the responsibilities and the actual material things, like everything. Like if I bought that TV when we were boyfriend and girlfriend, after we're married, it's like that's half yours too. You know what I'm saying? And same with the dishes, the same with the whatever. So I think household chores are actually a very significant thing when it comes to understanding that house is now both of yours.
I think it helps when you operate the same way, like you have the same lifestyle. Like if you're both clean, well, this is going to be an easy operation. Maybe find that in a partner.
But is it that sweet if they're already that way?
Yeah,
or is it kind of sweet if they're working harder?
Always lower expectations.
Working harder and accomplishing it, great. Working harder and not, I don't know.
Well, yeah, accomplishing it, like doing, like showing up.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's you can get the point across, like if you want some chores done a certain way, but not say it so fucking mean. People are more likely to do it.
Yeah.
So like let's say you know, Hannah says it jokingly and I get the point. It doesn't really hurt me, but then I'm like, oh, that makes a lot of sense, and we can laugh about it. But there's some people that just are so fucking mean.
Why don't you do this? It's because you fucking suck.
Yeah, and it's like, or like they're like in, like maybe they're hurt and offended because like you mentioned, it's like, oh, they feel disrespected because you were inconsiderate, so they come at you as if you were really trying to hurt their feelings, and then it causes like this. It's just very combative, and then it's like, man, that makes people want to be defensive and not want to do it at all. Then, so and I think like that, like the initial approach always has to be like, if you're gonna tell somebody to do something, do it with
Frame
love.
it in a nice way, yeah.
Yeah, do it with kindness. Like you are in a you guys are a couple.
But what if you got to tell them to do it 55 times? And then it's gonna kind of.
Then you have to also accept that you gotta probably tell them 100 more times too.
Then you can start posting notes.
I did read this one thing, right? Out of all places, I follow this Instagram called Ask Men Reddit, and there's this one part that said what like makes your marriage successful. And then this guy, or I forgot who they were, but they were like, no matter what your partner does stuff for you, just be thankful that it's done. Who the fuck cares like how it was done? And I was like, oh yeah, you know what? That's true. It's done, and it's work that you wouldn't have, you know, had the time to do anyways yourself. You have a partner now that does it for you.
You just trade your expectations for appreciation, and your problems start to go away a little bit.
Yeah. And then for me, I was like, oh, well, what's preventing me from just doing it before them if I want it done a certain way? So then it's like, oh, like let's say the dishes were done a certain way where I didn't like it. Well, I could have done the dishes. Why do I have to tell them to do it? Yeah. So I'm like, I don't know.
If you're gonna be anal about it, it's like, then just do it your way.
Yeah, do it my way. And then, yeah, so then there's a lot of problem solving like that I think couples would probably blame and tell the other person to do when it could have just been prevented from themselves. So I think it's a lot of those kind of things, like when you become more and more committed, like you run into these like, everything is like a negotiation. Everything is like who does what and how do they do it. And then I think that if the love is lacking there, then it's always like a me against you versus like, oh, how do we just deal? And it's not that big of a deal. It never is. It's like dishes. It's like cleaning. It's like laundry. It's like, why are you fucking ruining your whole life just for that? Happy holidays, peoples. Today's video is brought to you by Warby Parker. What better time than now to try on some glasses for free before you purchase? Maybe you have a face profile just like your friend that you want to get glasses for. What's awesome about Warby Parker is I went online, I clicked around the website, picked out some glasses, and I was like, I do want to buy these maybe, but I'm not too sure because I don't know if it's gonna look good on my face. So I ordered the 5, and these are the 5. And Warby Parker has everything you need for happier eyes. Eyeglasses, sunglasses, contact lenses, and eye exams. And you could shop with them online or in stores. Glasses start at $95, including prescription lenses. Try Warby Parker's free home try-on program. Order 5 pairs of glasses to try on at home for free. There's no obligation to buy. It ships for free, and it also includes a prepaid shipping label, so you could just send it right back if you don't want it. So try 5 pairs of glasses at home for free at warbyparker.com/offtherecord. Like, that's the weird part
It's
to me.
probably because most women, well, in my experience as well, they take it out on those small little things, but there's
a
an
deeper
underlying
issue, yeah.
issue.
Yeah, that's probably
Which is usually bad sex.
Yeah, I know. I'm not digging her down hard enough. No.
Could be.
No.
Could be.
Like they need.
Just for the sake of getting off the subtopic of like household chores and stuff, I think there's also this really there's such a mental shift, you know, in terms of like trying to evolve to become like husband material. In certain things like the culture of even at like a wedding, a father like giving their daughter away, that's also literally like you assuming that mantle of being like the protector and provider of that person as well. You know, it's very traditional in culture and thought, but it's something as daily as, you remember how like every single time, whether it be like going to a field trip or like, you know, admitting yourself to like a doctor or whatever, you always got to put out like an emergency contact. And, you know, it's like for my whole life, I'm usually putting like my sister or like my dad or something like that, right? And then the second you think about like, is somebody gonna put me as their emergency contact moving forward? You know what I mean? Whether it be something as like a lost item to like, you know, death. You know, like you're the person that's gonna be called to like be the number one person to like handle somebody else's life. Suddenly,
Oh my gosh, shit, I don't have a car anymore.
yeah. As a boyfriend, it's like I'm trying to be the best version of myself and like you know, just in that way. But like as a husband, it's like you have to be that best person for somebody else as well. And I think being ready for that is a very mental thing as well. It's not just like a number of lists of actions that I should do to be better. It's like also just having that mental strength and fortitude and being able to shoulder that responsibility and the seriousness of it. You know what I mean? Becoming somebody else's emergency contact is like huge.
That's a big deal. That's a huge deal.
I think
It's a big ask.
I don't know if I can make it, dude, honestly.
Oh, whoa, Anthony just put me in a fucking grinder over here. I'm like, oh shit, I don't have a car, so if Sneaky has the car, I'm the emergency contact, that's gonna be a real fucking problem.
You can call Uber fast though. You're really good at calling
Yeah, I'm
Uber.
good calling
See
Uber.
that?
Yeah, I'm good at it.
you guys ever like see your parents' relationship and go like, you know what? That I'm not gonna do.
For real.
So like, yeah, so my biggest thing was finance. I was like, I never want to burden my partner with the lack of being able to survive.
Yeah.
And I saw the stress that my family had of like, so like, even though I've been like at a loss of money, I've never been broke. Meaning like I never lost my roof, I never lost being able to eat. all
Never
these
lost
things.
your truck bed.
We could sleep in that. We could sleep in anything, right? But still, the concept behind it was I always felt like the epitome of a good man or like a husband is someone who can provide. And I think my father failed at that. Like he couldn't provide. So I'm like, that's the basic probably thing that a husband can do. If you think traditionally, like what is a man supposed to do is be responsible, at least with working and paying bills. But if you get sick and whatever, that's a circumstance of life. It's not you being incompetent. And I think being incompetent means like you failed. So I think that to me was one of my biggest things. Like I got to make sure no matter what, like I live in a decent place, decent enough to where it's safe and comfortable. Yeah.
Well, for me, it's like how I used to try to look at everything. I was super scared when we got married in a lot of weird ways. Like, not because I didn't feel like I was ready for it, but it was just like a lot of responsibility that I didn't necessarily think I could do at that time, you know? But it's more of like you just kind of grow into the role. Like it's my mindset was just like, how do I just unburden things for my partner? Like, how do I just make it easier just across the board, whether it's living at home, whether it's like, hey, if she's cooking once a night, I'll try to cook as much as I can because I'm not going to be at the house. It's obviously it's really dependent on like work and everything you have on your plate. But yeah, like I think that's the only thing that kind of kept me thinking, like making me feel safe in that way. Like this is I can control this. I can control how I could help around the house, how I could just make her life easier, and she does the same thing for me in a lot of ways too. So it's like we didn't get that much friction. Like when we moved in together, when we got married, which I feel very thankful for because it's like I realize our situation's not like everyone else's in certain aspects, but just like having that open line of communication of like, what do you need as a human being? What are your expectations out of a marriage? Because everyone's gonna have different expectations. Everyone's gonna have different wants. So understanding what that partner wants, and if that's something that you could deliver, which I'm assuming you'll be fine at, like it'll be not a big deal. Like if I can get married and have a relationship for more than 2-3 years, like you'll be fine.
You'll be fine. You try so fucking hard, dude. You'll be fine.
I feel like, Ryan, you always try to outdo yourself. And like you're outdoing yourself, I don't think some people could ever reach.
Ryan's a fucking doomsday prepper over here, dude.
But it's also, it's like just for anniversaries.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
just the thought process and then the exxicution afterwards. It's just most people don't even have the thought process, let alone
I don't even
execute.
remember
Like,
my anniversaries. Think about that.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah, so the fact that you're already thinking about that alone is a strong
Ryan, you keep me on the spectrum. Like I get confused when I'm around you.
No, I mean,
Seriously.
like, I think there's like a generational difference between how our dads were, in a way. Like,
Dude, that's the fear, isn't it?
you know, like,
Yeah.
and not that like my dad had bad qualities, but like he just had so many things that I thought were default. I'm like, how are you good at all these like things in terms of like solving practical problems, like
Yeah.
fixing shit, you know, like building things. Like he just one day I woke up and he built like a whole fucking patio, and I was like, the fuck, you don't even do this. He could farm,
Yeah.
you know, but that's like his life was completely different than mine. I get it, but like I don't
Different
think-
skills.
I think in the now age, I feel like the skills that we got that are default to a guy like him, like he looks at me and he's like, wow, how did you fix the computer? It's like,
Yeah,
you know,
that's true.
I know there's different ones,
It moves,
but then
yeah.
I feel like I am a little bit afraid that in the world to come that I'll see that I'm missing the ones that my dad, I could have learned from him. And I could have saw that and went, oh, like I should know how to do that. I should like learn that because, you know, they're there. But I sort of missed it because I was so preoccupied with getting good at today's type of shit.
Yeah, but imagine it's like your son's birthday in the future, and then you fucking remake like Final Fantasy for him, and he's the
exactly.
main character and stuff like that, and then he goes to school, and all the fucking kids are jealous.
I think you have enough skills to add value to your relationship.
I just want to learn how to cook more things.
You telling me you can't figure out how to make a patio? I bet you could.
I know.
It'll look like shit the first time, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you guys think Ryan's kind of like humble bragging a little bit right now?
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit. 'Cause he's like, yeah, I could probably program a new game or like, you know, insert my kid into the space program, but I can't cook an omelet, and I'm insecure about it, guys.
It's that, I think it's that thing of like getting really good at things and then knowing that there's not really a place maybe where that will be what saves my marriage.
Do you think she cares enough about you not cooking for it to be such a big problem?
Or not building patios.
That's just one example, but I think it's because I'm self-aware that throughout my life, I'm a serial. I'm really good at impressing the girl. I'm good at like getting them interested, and I haven't always been the best at sustaining. And that's like something that like, okay, I fucking understand that. Like I have like a really great opener, You know what I mean?
6 years later and 2 studios together seems like a pretty good sustain.
And I think that was a big asset because we, in terms of like working together as a couple, that's great when it's new to both of you because I can't really talk shit and go like, I know how to do it, let me do it. Like we both don't know anything, and that was a really good thing to bring us closer because I wasn't like that thing I was telling you where like as a guy you tend to fucking zone in on these teachable moments and go, yeah, you know, now that you know, let me tell you how it goes, you know, and like I fucking had to really get rid of that because it's a bad fucking male habit.
Yeah.
But like that helped a lot. You know what I mean? It helped a ton to also be clueless, make mistakes together.
Yeah.
She can talk equal amount of shit for something that looks stupid that we both did. You know, like that was a big cure for I think complexes that I had for years.
But if you can have a business with your like partner and lover, like that's already a huge.
That's a rare.
You're basically married.
Yeah, I think we're going.
You're
Yeah.
basically you're like.
yeah.
In
Yes.
California, when you live
Yeah.
together for over 5 years,
it's like
your
a family
domestic
marriage.
partnership, she could leave with half of everything you got. That means your van. Well, she keeps. No, I'm just kidding. Half a quest crew.
Just let me keep the cargo side.
I also think there's an underrated thing that, because when you're in a marriage, right, or a relationship at all, partners grow, and sometimes they don't grow together. And so I think being malleable for their growth is really important. Like I remember when Nikki, like me and Nikki used to go to steakhouses and we would fuck up some steaks and like that was like our celebration thing. Like anytime that either of us had a win, like a significant win, we would go get some steaks, right? And then she is like, I don't want to eat meat anymore. And I'm like, all right, but like you can have nugs sometimes. Like there was a transition period where I just forget, like, cause it was early days, and I hadn't like, I think really accepted that this was like gonna stick. Yeah. But it was like a growth moment for her, like where she's like doing her thing, right? And then I think, you know, I used to make these like, I still make them. I used to make these tacos like with fucking beef or whatever, or ground turkey. And I was like doing taco nights with her and stuff. And then I think the day that I was like, hey, the tacos are all vegan today, was the day where she was like, oh shit, like he gets it. Like it's all locked in now. And then, But yeah, growing with your person, like changing your traditions so that it still fits to where they're going growth wise. Very important thing, I think.
Yeah, effort matters, even the little things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, this is a deep one, huh?
No, we don't have deep conversations anymore, right, Joe?